y'all. This is staHHr, staHHr. The two H's are for hip hop, and you're watching Visual Caffeine TV.
Started up. Listen, something I was interested in is your name, your MC name, right? The spelling of it and whatnot. And I know there's some deep, some deep meaning behind it. So I want you to take the opportunity, if you could, just to give us the wisdom on it.
Sure. So my first MC name was really corny. What I came up with was Hyper, because I knew everybody's lyrics. So I was like, I could be a hype woman, whatever. Like, yeah, that's Hyper. And then I'm like, well, dang, do I really want to long-term be known as Hype or Hyper? Certain places hypes are crackheads. Do I really want to have that name for the duration of my career? So I was just thinking, like, what's something that I could embody and live up to that would be simple and easy enough. My homegirl, one of my close homegirls was Jamaican. I'm like, what star? Wagwan star?
Wagwan.
I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I could play with star. And then when I think about stars on a cosmic level, like what stars are, what they represent, they're just baby suns. People, stars are used to navigate and, chart and reading the stars, the horoscopes and whatnot.
Right.
The Dogon, Sirius A and B. And then I was like, but I got to make it hip hop. So how can at first I spelled it staHHr and I'm like, nah, that ain't it. It's not balanced.
Okay.
And I was like, ooh, H is hip hop, had Haru, help heal. Ooh, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. And then that 96 is when, I think 96 or 97 is when I locked into the star portion. Now, for those who have been following my career for a while, I used to also go by the FemC. I thought I created the term FemC. That's what I thought, but I was told by another sister that she had been using, so I guess basically we both had the same idea. She had been
great minds.
But I broke mine down into an acronym, feminine energy, mastering creativity, to elevate eternal. So for me, that is what FemC represented, not necessarily that it should be a new genre for all women that rapped. And I haven't used it since 2008, but I stamped myself with it so well, people still refer to me as that. So what are you going to do?
Barbecue or boogaloo, as they say.
It is what it is. It was at a point in time, that is who I was. It's like when I changed my name from my birth name to, my Moorish name, to my Islamic name. Yeah. Am I not still, her? My parents still call me by my birth name.
Yeah.
And even now, like, since I've changed it, I'm like, ooh, there's another way I could spell it. Oh, I could, so we're always, as long as we're here, we're growing, we're evolving. So, I think when people try to bring you back to who they knew you as a way to kind of belittle or like tick away at you, that's different than someone just acknowledging, hey, I've been with you since this is part of the journey. So as I get older, I'm learning not to take offense so much, because everyone is not trying to style on you by reminding you of, those other nomenclatures that, because we're all known by different names, different place, different area. Work, they call me by my last name. Here, they call me this, so it's the same type of concept.
I can relate to that like fully as well, because, as far as my parents, they still call me by my birth name, and it's just like, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's all right.
We are still that. That's who we are to them.
Yeah, that's who we are to them. And of course, honoring my parents.
That's something that you gotta do. You gotta honor your mother and your father. That's
yeah, for sure. Look, since we're talking about nostalgia, I guess, in a sense, can we talk about your start in hip hop? When that bug bit you and you was like, yo, this is me. This is what I'm gonna do.
So just for backstory, and I grew up in a predominantly white suburb in Memphis, Tennessee. Germantown, Tennessee is where I was raised. I was born in Memphis, raised in Germantown. Wow. And so I wasn't in an environment where I was surrounded by hip hop on like a daily basis, like being able to see the culture, being able to go outside and see people, doing graph or, breaking or, ciphers or whatever. Mm-hmm. My first experience with hip hop was through MTV, BET, hearing it on the radio. And then at school, some of my classmates, maybe just different things like that. So in terms of me getting bitten by the bug, I really started getting deeper into hip hop around 88, 89. And I remember my best friend at the time, she had a birthday party at her house and somebody had that Just Ice tape with the little cartoon and the T. And I was just looking at it so amazed. And this girl was like, oh, you wouldn't know nothing about that. You from the suburbs. That's real hip hop. And I mean, I remember that shit from 11 years old to today, right now. And I'm like, man, I wish I could see that girl. And I wish I could see her, but definitely around that time, like LL, Salt and Pepper, Big Daddy Kane, Slick Rick, Run DMC, like EPMD. That was when I really got, Dougie Fresh. That was kind of like the precursor. But when I was like, yo, I am a hip hop head, Slick Rick's first album. Okay. That's what did it for me. I was at a basement party in Chicago, visiting my godmother. I would go up there. My mother passed away in 89. So we moved from Memphis to Atlanta where my father was. And so one of her best friends from college, like a godmother to me, and we would go and visit her every summer. So this was the first summer we went up there and I was, hanging out with some friends that I had there. And we were at a little basement party and somebody put on Indian Girl. And I was like, oh yeah, it's a rap. And I just went into the rabbit hole from that point. Okay. Like in terms of like really, like I'm really into this. This is about that life.
For sure. I mean, and I noticed the nostalgia in your music, and it really comes from that time of what, they call the golden era. I mean, you agree, disagree, in terms of like the relationship with what you've been producing, what you have produced, as far as, your music having that marriage to that particular time and era of the 90s? Would you,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely
your preference
fully 90s out. Like I listen to stuff from the 90s more probably than anything else on a regular basis. Like I was just listening to the Boogie Monsters on the way home, first album. Yeah.
Wow.
I just be like thinking of like the 92 through about 96 was just it
was a real run.
Pivotal point for me.
Yeah, most certainly. Yeah. I'd have to say the same.
Because I started rhyming in 91. Shaitan never came so ill, he got skill. Met a brother from the grill that gave my spine chills. All 33 nerves, controlling my curves. Common sense just swerved every time I got served. Stress, frustration, empty rhetoric. Cold as winter in Connecticut. Compassion lacking deficit. Thought it was love like sent from above. You're not a soulmate. With ways and actions of a primate. Fooled by lower senses coming faker than extensions. Pissed away all good intentions. Out of here, sister was missing. Intuition, maybe it was me. I couldn't see. Holding on to fantasy. Getting bitten by reality.
War wounds, purple heart, love veteran, morphine. Painkillers, drugs, and medicine. Anything just to forget the hurt. Incoming! Take cover, hit the dirt. On the front line, there's casualties in the mind. And the POWs get left behind. Mentally scarred for life. Love is war and some chicks are just too hard to wife.
I should've deaded it from Genesis instead of hitting the Guinnesses. Now I'm free falling, cursing, matching street brawling. He ceased calling, no appetite to feast, darling. So deep all in, I bet he never stopped balling. Women forsake God for the sin of a man. Sacrifice a whole life or a slice over.
I think is not often asked, especially for MCs, but is there a method in your beat selections? Like, because you're the wordsmith, but like, you know what I'm saying?
That's a great question. And the thing that I had to learn is that just because I like a beat, the beat may not necessarily be for me to write to. And it took me a long time of like getting beats that I was really hyped about and then trying to sit down and write to them and being like, I tend to do a lot better on tracks that are really open. that are not really busy, so that my voice can be the focal point. That I've learned that those are the best type of tracks for me to be on. So yeah, I would say that a producer that understands that about me, lets my voice be kind of like an additional instrument on the track, that's going to be a great person for me to work with.
Can we talk about your writing process in conjunction with the last question I just asked? Because what does that look like for you?
It can be, some days I'm just it's all spilling out of me and I don't have enough. I'm trying to write, the words are coming faster than I can write. And then sometimes I go 6 months and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even write a bar. So a lot of times if I have a concept, usually when I do, the reason I have so many features is because when somebody comes to me with the concept, oh word, I can write about that, but when I got to sit down like, and I got so many things that I could write about, but it's like, because I've gone through them or it's so personal to me, I've had to learn how to, how am I going to step outside and be able to write about this objectively, even though it's something that I actually personally experienced, because I have so many experiences. If I were to write about everything, I mean, I would be like out of here. I just gotta be able to detach from it so that I can do that. So like my writing, like sometimes I'm on and I try to get as much out as I can, but other times it's just like, yo, I don't even want to listen to, I don't even listen to music some days just because I'm just on something else, or I'm just so deep into whatever else it is that I'm doing. Right. So one thing about my process that has definitely changed a lot is that when I write in couplets, which is 2 lines, and I write in quatrains, which is 4 lines. I've learned that if I write and I perfect from that point and I don't move on, then I don't have to go back and edit usually. So when I'm finished with it, I know that's solid. It's going to stick. Boom, boom. Now let me move on to these next 4. And that is something that has definitely, worked for me well too, like not stressing myself out about getting a 16 every time I sit down. Just get a two good bars, and then when you sit down later, get 2 more, and then the next time maybe you'll get 4. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and that takes a lot of the pressure and the expectation, because a lot of artists can be very in our head, and I overthink because I'm a perfectionist, and then that is definitely something that I can say I know has gotten in the way of me producing more music, because I'm so critical and I'm trying to tear it apart. And, when I do that thing, that helps a lot with that.
Yeah, for sure. You spoke on just, writing from experience. Are there any other sources perhaps that you might go to, books or
oh yeah. I mean, like movies, other people's experiences. I know one thing that was imparted to me by Doom, peace be upon him, is that as a writer, you have license to really write about anything, and you should never limit yourself, because you are a narrator, you are a storyteller in that. So just in hip hop, it's kind of like, well, if you didn't live it, you shouldn't. Hip hop has all these rules that are just for something that's so unorthodox. We have so many arbitrary rules. And I feel like if I can observe something and write about it as an observer, I don't have to have necessarily firsthand dealt with it. Like if I dated a crack dealer, I would have sat and watched him do what he does. I would be able to write a perfectly firsthand, verse about that, even though I'm not the actual one that's selling the crack, because I'm there and that's a horrible example, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. I think the best way I've heard MCs be labeled beyond just being called an MC are documentarians, and that's of course from Yasin Bey and Talib Kweli when they spoke on the the first Black Star record. I was like, oh, that's pretty clever. You mentioned Doom, and yes, rest in peace for sure. Can you talk a little bit about your experiences working with, someone who's definitely bona fide certified genius in this genre of hip hop?
I mean, it's just to even been, tagged and like pulled in by him, and for him to have seen me as his equal. I mean, said that several times, like, yo, you are like a female version of me. Like he really believed in me. He had so much faith. And I'm like, what? He believed in me And I'm like, dang, am I that dope? Like, I don't, it's that kind of thing. And working with him, whether it was under the name Angelica or Empress Star or whatever name it was under, everybody that knows Doom knows who I am, whether they know it or not. And when I think about that, I'm like, wow, that's like so crazy, because I know that somewhere, someone who I respect highly as an artist has been somewhere, bumping Guinnesses and loving it. You know what I mean? But because they don't necessarily know that that's me, it's kind of like this, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it's really being infamous. I am infamous.
I was just going to say, yeah, definitely.
But he was, I got a lot of really good jewels and gems from him. Just, he was so creative. He was very methodical. Everything he did, there was a method to the madness with everything. It was very, it was very intelligent. And I mean, beyond just on some MC shit, like we would play chess while we were in the studio together. Or, we building on, this Bobby Hemming, and, now he's making orgone, pendants. And I mean, it's just like and then, he's a visual artist as well, like a brilliantly, incredibly gifted visual artist. So he's just this consummate, to me, Renaissance man who could do everything, but had, a bad experience with the industry and was kind of like anti-industry. And in that, to me, the illest thing about him was the fact that he was able to sustain wearing the mask the entire career. And he got that off. Like even in his non physical presence, we're still like, there's no mask. I mean, when people are posting the guy with no mask, that's Zev Love X, that's not MF Doom. Like, I don't acknowledge that's not Doom. It isn't. Like, and we're serious about that. Like, the legacy is the mask, and we're gonna ride that out until none of us are here anymore, because that's what he would want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't play that Zev Love X is MF Doom. I don't play that game.
Two different people.
Again, Camila, Kimberly, Star, 50, it's the different, like, where I didn't know Zev Love X.
Yeah.
I only knew the villain. So I'm gonna honor Vil, period.
For sure. And interestingly, that connects to us talking about nomenclature.
Yes.
As far as, you knew me in this time, this is who I was, and so forth. But then here's this evolution of mine.
It's a new brand. Word to Rashid Thurman. It's a new brand.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah, that's dope.
A new brand.
It's real dope.
I'ma drop one rhyme, but every time I cross the thin line between yours and mine, see it's part of my design. Shifting paradigm, yin and yang combined. Must be out your mind, thinking star would never shine. Props do, focus with a hawk's eye view. I'm all that a plantain and some White House do. Getting spinach, Greenwich, ATL to Venice. Even Abercrombie figures open off this verbal elixir. Magnetic attraction, raw as Millie Jackson. Straight opening the captions, here comes a Hicks and Braxton. Lyrical contraction, delivery reaction. It started with a passion, that's just the way it happened. Born with umbilical cords strapped to corks, won't drop a curse while hustling zip this vows. Sharper than needles, found no IVs for the feeble. Y'all fiending for the sequel and the beast not even EQ.
Yo, tell us about, if you could, the track Barbarella.
Barbarella.
Yeah,
so
tell us about that.
The concept initially with Barbarella, I haven't even seen the movie. I just saw like the pictures from the movie. Okay. And I remember Jamiroquai had that song where he's like, talking about a baby Barbarella. And that back then made me actually go and look up who Barbarella was. And I saw that there was this movie with Jane Fonda, and she was like this, outer space, futuristic, badass, empowered woman, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I sat with Barbarella. I was like, I'm gonna do something with that one day. So I was working on this project with Crazy DJ Bizarro, and I had this beat, and I wrote to the beat several times. Like, the song was actually called Full Throttle initially. I rewrote it, recorded it twice, and I just wasn't happy with it. So we didn't do anything with the song. 2019 shows up, and we had already done, Pandora and Weak Shit. And we were supposed to be doing an entire album. And he's like, yo, I just went through the sessions. I got these 3 songs. And he sent them to me. And I was like, I don't know. I just don't like that song. But I changed the name of it to Barbarella. And when I put that song out, Chuck D became my big fan. I mean, I'm talking about, I was confused when I saw the tweet. I'm like, he can't be talking about Barbarella, not the song I really don't like. He must be talking about Mother's Milk.
Funny.
This man got on the MC Search podcast, compared Barbarella to Rebel Without a Pause in terms of how it made him, the way that made people feel, how Barbarella made him feel. I watched Public Enemy as a kid. Like, I'm in my living room watching, Fight the Power. But Chuck D is a freaking icon. I'm an iconoclast, a vanguard, a brilliant artist. And he's also from Long Island, like Doom. So I'm like, what is this connection with, Long Island? Like, in this Love and Star, you know what I mean? And we had put the music in a record pool, and, his station, rap station, had all, anything that Bizarro and I put out ended up in their rotation. So they had played music before, but he had never responded to anything the way that he did Barbarella. Like, we did the video, we got a cameo of him. So basically Barbarella is the evolution of me, bars, obviously the bars, Barbarella. That's just going from Empress Star to Bar. See, now this is Barbarella. Actually, I guess this is how Barbarella is. This is the manifestation of Barbarella. You know what I mean?
And she's still manic.
She's ill mad. Exactly. Right. So, so that it's an anthem for, that aspect of my personality that I'm walking into. And then I got another one that's gonna come out to Barbarella. It's like, it's always, because as I grow, then the way I express myself is going to change and grow and evolve. Sure. It should. I don't understand artists putting out 15 albums of the same thing. Like, where's something else, please? Like,
my theory, Star, is it's a monetary intent.
But the thing is, having the power, like, if you're popular and everybody likes you, you can make them fall for whatever. That's what people don't understand, the power that they have. If when Beyonce said she was vegan, how many of her little Bayhive went vegan for a week or whatever? Right. I mean, they may not have stuck with it, but when you have influence. But see, that's the difference, like influence and inspiration. Like Ty Phoenix talked about that. Like, you be an influencer, but when you inspire people, then that's where the real change on a cellular level. I mean, influencers, and you're under the influence. Like, that means you're not thinking for yourself. Right? But if you're inspired, then that's a whole different.
Yeah. I heard it. What I read some years ago, I can never say Ayanna Van Zant. I can never say her first name.
Ayanna Van Zant, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pardon me. But she had wrote, inspire is to be in spirit.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
It caught me and it stayed with me for sure. Let's talk a little bit more about Barbarella. You said, and this is kind of a test for you. I want to have a little fun. You say you have a line, Nefertiti with an iced out medallion.
Right.
5 words. Here, check this out. What 5 words would you use now to describe yourself?
Ooh. Just 5?
Nefertiti with an iced out. That's 2. That's a conflated word. Medallion. Those are 5 words you said.
Wow. 5 right now?
Right now. They ain't got to rhyme. They ain't got to be coherent. They just 5.
Wow, that's a really good question.
You can come back.
5 words that would
in this
powerful, bright, happy, Muslimah. Wow, one more. Powerful, bright.
Yep. Happy.
Mashallah. Happy. Dang, there's so many. I'm like, well, dang, I can only think of, I got one more. Receptive.
Ooh.
Receptive.
Okay.
Receptive.
All right.
This woman named staHHr, STAHHR, and also DJ Crazy Bizarro. Yo, man, she did this cut called Barbarella.
They ain't ready, steady aim at the target. I'm flooding the market, a break from the garbage. An artist, sensitive about mind pardon. No margin for error, flawless be rarer. The black cat goddess, you walking with a panther. Painting these pictures with words like Samantha, MacGyver. Alchemy on the track, make it lava. And I won't stop rocking till I retire. Singular or plural, she rank numero uno. Colder than judo chop, sumo squat. Not that regular, so stop comparing her. MC Predator, close but no comparing her.
Dark matter in the form of a light body.
Want me to simplify it? You cannot harm me. Not here to debate who's better or great. I'm dissing the fate and serving the plates.
They gotta eat that.
The beast back, Bloodgate, she unleashed that. Ease back, you don't know where my peeps at. I keep that heat that'll light your soul up. Talking about Kundalini, this to glow up. The beast back, Bloodgate, she unleashed that. Ease back, you don't know where my peeps at. I keep that heat that'll light your soul up. Talking about Kundalini, this to glow up.
This is opulence.
Focused and confident, competent, equipped to hold my own on any continent. More sauce than condiments. Incontinent, I'm pissing on conglomerates.
Bombing it.
At peace like salam with it. Melanin dominant, immune to the ominous.
I remain calm in it.
Nefertiti rockin' nice style medallion. Endurance of a stallion, spinach with the scallions. High profile and Mr. Wolf
on the alley.
Backed by a battalion, $1 million smiling. East, west, north, south, I covered all of it. Here to build like the gods holding parliament. Infidels and charlatans bringing out the barbarous, that marvelous.
Barbarella spit so it's obvious.
Scimitar liberate heads from shoulders, they losing composure.
Was I supernova?
The beast back, Bloodgate, she unleashed that. Ease back, you don't know where my peeps at. I keep that heat that'll light your soul up. Talking about Kundalini, this to glow up. The beast back, Bloodgate, she unleashed that. Ease back, you don't know where my peeps at. I keep that heat that'll light your soul up. Talking about Kundalini, this to glow up.
They all 7 years. 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 They all 7 years.
Them sick niggas 730. Them sick niggas 730. Them sick niggas 730. Them sick niggas 730.
You just mentioned a second ago, conversation you were having with Ty Phoenix, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it was actually a live of hers.
Okay.
What she was discussing, and I just happened to be there. And what she said really made so much sense. Like, that's peace, Ty.
Yeah.
I give people their credit.
Sure.
I try to make sure I give people their credit, yeah, because it was really profound the way that she broke down the difference between influence, an influencer, and someone who inspires. It was really profound.
Yeah, she is. She's amazing. I mean, I follow her, and I just, some of the things she says, like just like you're saying, extremely profound, very thoughtful and thought provoking.
Out of here, she is out of here.
Yeah.
Good
she's
way.
Cosmic. She's cosmic, and you guys have worked together as well.
Oh
right?
yeah, that's like Ty is music or not. That's like to the end, friends to the end. Like, yeah, we've definitely done some things together though. Yes,
that's what's up. As far as women in hip hop, right? What's your perspective in terms of the female MCs, so to speak, for lack of better expressions?
Right.
In this patriarchal hip hop society and culture that we live in.
there are so many women that rhymes, and I really get tired of hearing people say that they don't know of any women that rhyme or that they don't exist. There are droves. There are so many women that rhyme, and there are so many women that are dope. Now again, if we're looking in terms of the fact that we, this movement of independent artists has really made, finding the type of artist that you like so much easier. So when people say that there aren't any women that are rapping, I'm just like, then you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Because I can name about 15, 20 just off the top of my head. I love seeing a lot more women are coming into their own now. The whole dynamic of there only being, one or two ways for a woman to present herself in hip hop and be, respected and listened to. I mean, you just, you have a way broader, a way broader representation now. There's women from all walks of life, but we just only hear about the things that, are getting radio play, unfortunately, but there's tons of us out here. I mean, I love, I'm very supportive of women that rap. I always have been. I've never been someone who wasn't like pro woman, not because they're women, but because they're dope. And then they just so happen to be women. I know coming up, I've always been, surrounded by a bunch of men because that's just what was around. So whenever I would meet women that were on the level, I was on like, Heroin, Ty, Apani, Yejide. When I would meet these women and then these younger sisters that are coming up, like, Brittany Carter and Kia Abdul and just, China Streets, just this new crop, this new generation. I'm really just loving them and just, listening to them and seeing them grow. And it feels great. It's kind of like, when I listened to Bahamadia and Rage and Nikki D and Ladybug Mecca, just that them being like this big sister that I wish that I had it could know. I actually get to be like the big sis to these younger sisters coming up, which is so dope. Like, I love it. Like, I'm so high right now. China Streets has a song, Ghetto Diva. And I mean, that is my theme song right now. I love her so much. I love what she's doing. I love how she presents herself. She is a lyricist. Like, she's a bona fide lyricist. She's got, her spirituality in there, her street shit. She's got a really nice balance. And I just love being able to witness a woman who took all, 2 or 3 or 4 of the ways that, women are accepted as in hip hop. And she just took all of that. And she's like, I'm all of these.
Wow.
Don't put me in no box. Okay. I'm all of them.
Look, I'm gonna punch her up as soon as we get off the call. Because I like being turned on to.
Oh yeah, I love her. She's the truth right now. She got I got a couple of theme songs off of this EP she just put out.
Okay, all right. I mean, this is. Let me preface this. What I'm going to ask you. This is not a top 5 question.
Okay.
But I'm asking, and I don't know if you saw it was a post on Instagram where Tretch kind of went in about this whole top 5 talk. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of feel a way about it too. But what I am asking you, some of your favorite lyricists, some of your favorite MCs, some of the people that inspire you, some of the people that, make you want to go harder even. And
I can only list 5?
No, not even. No,
I was about to say I got way more than 5.
This is not a top 5 question. So it could be, you give me 10, you give me 20.
Right now, or like when I first started rapping, or currently?
You take it how you want to take it.
Well, when I got started, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves ever, but Special Ed was actually a really huge influence. Dell was a really huge influence. Yes. Okay. And right now, Elzai, absolutely love Elzai. Pharoah Monch, love him. Malik B is one of my favorite MCs of all time. He was so freaking brilliant. Rod Digger, absolutely love Rod Digger. Rage, absolutely love Rage. Just her and Nikki D. Nikki D was like everything to me, at one point. Sean Price, Casual. There's so many. Prodigy is one.
This is why I said this is not top 5.
Yeah, I mean, Redman. Redman has actually been like my favorite of all time since forever.
Okay.
This guy, you know, and him are like tied.
Okay.
You know, but you know, this guy and Redman have always been like my, you know, my 1 and 2, and whoever was 2 and 1, you know, switched.
Right.
There's so many people.
Yeah.
Ghostface.
Okay, for sure.
Right now, let's see who else. Conway, actually, right now, I'm really digging Conway. He has this song called Stressed on the new album, and it's about depression. And it just made me look at him, how he made like a song that could be like a hit, but it's about depression. I mean, to me, it's just brilliant. To me, it's brilliant. And I went and I saw them perform last weekend, and the whole venue was rapping this song.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's power. Andre 3000.
For sure.
Big Boy.
Man.
I
know, right?
The Fear.
Guru. Oh, rest in peace.
Who is he? Some local cats. I don't know if it was this brother named Ekandayo. He's from New York, but he was, you know, he's part of the scene here. He was, you know, when I was coming up, he was coming up. I Self Divine from the Micronauts. Uptown XO. He's an artist out of DC. Brilliant.
Wow.
IU also out of DC. Brilliant. There's just so many.
Listen,
so very many.
Right. In the top 5 questions.
On and on. Yeah, I can't do no top 5. It's not gonna happen. Sadat X. I mean.
Yep. That's one of my favorite.
Yeah, yes, one of mine too. So yeah, I mean.
I hear you. So let's flip it around. So that's the list of MCs, right? How about producers?
Oh. That's a good one. Producers, Premier, okay. Pete Rock, the RZA.
Okay.
You know, Organized Noise.
Yeah.
Just Blaze. Havoc. Georgia and Muldrow.
Oh yeah. Yes. This
is a serious. She's a serious something.
Yeah, that's for sure. And prolific. Always got something cooking.
Yeah. Easy Mo B is really dope too. I don't think he gets the credit. Buck Wild.
Oh yeah.
Diamond D.
Oh yeah.
Showbiz, them drums, Showbiz drums. Dilla, of course. Madlib. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. What you got cooking now? What you working on? Tell us about it.
So right now, you know, for the past year or so, I have been working on this project with Pete Rock.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just that, you know, this is like one of those bucket list things.
Yeah.
I'm also working with a couple of other artists, but I don't have a couple other producers, but I don't have enough stuff ready that I would, you know. So hopefully this thing with Pete, we can get knocked out before, you know, 2022 ends. But at the same time, I'm just not big on rushing.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to rush. I mean, if it takes 3 years, it takes 3 years. But that's me. I know fans feel differently. And then again, because I do balance, you know, a career outside of music with music, sometimes I get really caught up and comfortable in the career and forget, oh, but wait a minute, you still gotta do the artist thing. Right. So I have some surprises too.
Nice. Here's a signature question that I've asked guests in the past before. If you had to make a prediction about hip hop in the next 10 years, where do you see it and where do you see yourself in it?
At the state that we're going, I'm really hopeful that hip hop will be like it is globally, where if you're putting out music, it has to have some kind of political, cultural, humanitarian, historical basis. I mean, it's all fun and game. The material stuff is cool, but it's like at a certain point, if you're successful and you're wealthy, do you really expect me to believe that you're still selling drugs? And you're married, happily married with the, white picket fence and kids, that you really out here, sleeping with all these women. Right. I just kind of feel like that music is fun, but it doesn't sustain. Like when I go back and I listen to Low End Theory, I don't skip any of the songs. Right. That the music, even the songs we didn't like, we would still listen to all the back then. It's like some of these, newer artists, it's like, if I hear one more song about how many ways you can, cook drugs, I'm gonna like throw this radio out. I get it. And it's really clever. And I think that it does take a certain level of skill to be able to make 15 songs about cooking crack and they all be different. But I don't necessarily always want to hear that. I like, to hear different things. But I definitely, because the tradition of the griot, we were always teaching. And with the music, because, music, the repetition, that's how people remember things. Even when you think about, Salat, how it's like a song.
Oh, for sure.
And that is how you, that helps with the memorization. I actually was talking with someone about this other day, like how we've memorized all these rhymes over these years. So, and I was like, how are people, memorizing the whole Quran? Like, oh my God, how are they doing that? But when we think about how many hip hop songs do we know? How many lyrics do we have on file? So it's that, music is the conduit for the memorization, because it's like you're putting yourself into a trance. Yeah. So you're able to memorize, you're listening to this music. Music is doing, there's the vibrations and all of that. So yeah, to bring it forward, I really hope that hip hop will, people will just like, oh, we're tired of this. Right. Because at a certain point, I mean, if things keep going the way they are going in the world, nobody's going to want to hear anyone rapping about their new Lambo. Like, have you seen like how much houses cost and, rent, food scarcity, global warming. It's like, we're gonna, at a certain point, we're gonna have to address. And then you can hear like MCs, I listened to Kendrick's album and then just listening to Kodak, I said, Kodak Black was really dropping. He drops a couple of gems. Kodak Black. It's like, if you're alive and you're a sentient being on any level, you cannot continue to ignore what is going on in the world. We gotta have to address. It's gonna have to be talked about, because I mean, you see what's going on, and when you see what happened in Buffalo, you see what happened in Uvalde. I mean, you're seeing all these things happening. The stuff with the weather, the Ukraine, all these things, and whether this stuff is, distractions or whatever, like, our, conscious brothers and sisters love to say that it's a distraction and they're crisis actors. They're not all crisis actors. Prodigy said that on the Hegelian dialectic. Everything ain't the Illuminati. Right. It's not. Right. Things really do happen in this world. There's not some invisible boogeyman that's, we got to stop giving that level of, that's given too much power. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only source that I would feel comfortable putting that level of responsibility on. I don't think that the United States government has that much control. They have the control that we give them by reaffirming that. But sometimes we get real, like what the Nuwabians say, you getting really spooked out. Everything is not a conspiracy.
Right.
It isn't.
Yeah.
And we gotta really get away from that's like that fantasy thinking.
And that the mystery.
Whether you believe or not, we are all on this earth seeing these things play out.
Yeah.
So whether the earth is flat or round or the moon ain't real or whatever, them babies just still got shot at that school the other day.
Yeah.
There are people who have COVID and are dying from something called COVID, whether you believe it's real or not.
Right.
They dying from something.
Yeah.
So we got to really stop. Everything is like Prodigy talk about on the USA. They just put all his music back on the streaming services because I had bought the Hegelian Dialectic album, and when his estate was fighting for whatever they were fighting for, they took everything and they left Tyranny was the only song that they left. And so I was actually able to download the album again back into my iTunes the other day, and it's got like four bonus songs on it that weren't on the original.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. That one just kind of crept in. Yeah. He was
Yeah.
Some of them new songs sound like he's still here because of what he's talking about.
Is that right?
Yeah. But see, the thing is, those things have been happening, but because more people find stuff out and they start talking about it, it ain't nothing new. Y'all just weren't dealing with that. Like Dr. Sabi been around forever, but when different people made it popular, like Dr. Sabi wasn't new.
Right.
Because before Left Eye, Michael Jackson, this person and that, so it's just when someone gives someone with influence,
there we go,
exposes us to this person, and then now all of a sudden,
I'm still dope, even if the bag ain't coach, even if I don't smoke till the hydro roach. I'm still dope, rock a thrift store coat and a fresh pair of moccasins, comfortable for walking in, no A&R marketing. This is my reality. Still dope, power walk, burning off the calories, fact and not fallacy. Metal face family, imminent fatality, taking us too casually. I got it, it's cool, just part of this school, and I'm acing the lesson this time, so quit stressing. Still dope, vibrant natural game, no ring, no chain, still bringing the pain. Still dope, got no choice but to cope. Listen, take notes, I'm showing you the ropes. Still dope, very high dosage. My approach is lights out, buenas noches. Hold my glasses so I can get rid of it. Send them home, tail tuck, holding they fitteds. Cold as a Guinness. 1 pint miss, yo chill, watch the table. A fish might...
You said a few interesting things, and I kind of want to backpedal. When you were speaking of recitation and knowing all these songs, and just how they've made an impression on us, and then liking it to the Quran. Would you speak a little bit about your transformation into Muslimina and your spiritual state where you are at this moment?
I have been on a journey since I was 5 years old. I have studied many different ways of life. I've lived many different ways of life. I've committed, because one thing about me, if I deal with anything, I fully embody it. I don't play with anything. Like if I'm gonna practice this, live this way, I'm gonna do the research. I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna spend time in the community. I live it. I don't just like say stuff for the cliche of saying it. Like I live it as
about that life, as they say.
I can. Yeah. And so this Islam, Malcolm X really was my first introduction to Islam when I read Malcolm X's autobiography. Okay. Malcolm is probably the first person to ever make Islam appealing to me.
Okay.
And then through hip hop, just through groups like Brand Nubian, and poor righteous teachers, even though that they weren't Muslims, they were still dealing with a form of Islam. Right. And I was also very inspired by them, just like, Doom, KMD, they were Ansars, which were Muslims. They were just doing it under, the Holy Tabernacle. So I've always been influenced and inspired by hip hop that, Rakim, Queen Latifah, Big Daddy K. Islam and hip hop has always been the thing that I was drawn to, right? And so I had wanted to, embrace the deen for a very long time. However, I was just like, I don't, I guess not knowing, and from the outside looking in, I'm just like, I don't even know how I would be able to keep up with all of that. And as I went further, I dealt with different things, and I would, meet different people along my path. And, I had friends that were imams. I just had friends that were raised Muslim, just all different aspects. And, 27 years ago, one of the people that I met is an imam. I was actually able to call him on Eid and tell him that I finally took my shahada, and he was one of the biggest. I found him on the internet.
Wow!
I found the phone number, text him. So it was something that I knew was always for me, but I was scared because, again, when I do things, I don't want to halfway do it. And I was like, how am I gonna, fast for Ramadan in a mail truck when I can't drink water and this is that and the other? And I'm, I can't let my job stop me from this thing that I keep being drawn to, right? And so really what I learned is that I had been living within the tenets for the most part, most of my life anyway. Even things I didn't realize that I just did naturally. And it's not so much about, because I know a lot of people are like so anti-organized religion, but the way I look at it is if you are a person who is learned and you study and you do research, you can deal with anything you want because you're going to do the research. People who blindly follow, that's who religion and organized religions are dangerous for, because they're going to still be dependent on someone else teaching them. When I embraced Islam and I was, I started doing the prayers and this and that, I was like, oh, this is the missing piece. Because I got it kind of Voltroned everything I had been doing. And then when I was like, wait a minute, I still get to do yoga because when I'm prostrating, I'm going into, child pose, right? So when I'm doing, my salah and I'm doing my recitation and my repetition, those are mantras.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then I'm like, I got my tasbih. Those are mala beads.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't even explain it, but the choice I made was right for me. And I don't care how anybody else feels about it. For me, I was obedient. And I did what my intuition, the God inside of me, because that's where we meet God in here. It's not an external thing. It's not some ghost that's sitting on a chair in the sky.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was really not, as a spiritual person, a lot of times you bullshit. You do, you can. And I'm like, I'm not meditating like I was doing. I'm not doing any spiritual. I'm just like kind of not doing anything. And I like structure. I love structure. I really do. I do love structure. I do love discipline. A lot of the ways of life that I've been attracted to were heavy on the structure and heavy on the discipline. But they were all also focusing on an outside, some outside thing. This is all internal. This is about me and the source that I know I came from, and everything else on the planet came from, because it all came from somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
So however people feel and where they want to deny this and that or whatever, okay, well, all right, that's fine. And for you, that's great. However, my life is a testament since I've, made this change. the things that I was not focusing on, the things that I was missing, the things that were challenging for me, all of those things just lined up for me.
Wow.
So now again, you know, am I a perfect person who's going to do everything, you know, a certain specific way? I'm still me.
Yeah, for sure.
So there might be a day, she ain't, she don't, but she still is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I understand.
So that's where I'm at with it right now. And I'm just really happy and I'm at peace. And so I had reservations about publicly sharing just because it's
personal.
Sacred. It's a sacred personal thing.
For sure.
You know, and I don't want to feel like I don't have to answer questions about it every time, you know, you feel me?
I do. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm trying to explain to men why, like, yeah, this is, you know, you can't hug me and, you know, you can't get upset about it either. And then don't be like questioning other parts of my dean to see, you know, how, because I get to pick and choose what I do still. I'm not some automaton who doesn't think for themselves anymore just because I happen to deal with a certain way of life. I think people have it misconstrued that, you know, this is cookie cutter thing. And, you know, it's like, it's not a cult. No, it's not a cult. There's no compulsion. You know, I'm wearing this because I want to. There's not some guard at my front. You better not leave the house without your hijab on. Like, it's not that. But when you're on the outside looking in and you don't know and you see the propaganda, it'll have you believe in all kind of crazy, wild stuff. I think if whatever brings you peace right now in this crazy world, I encourage people to embrace that.
For sure.
Whatever that may be. I know what I have chosen for myself, and that is where I am with it. Yeah, right. and I feel like I made the right choice.
I appreciate you sharing because, as you said, it's very personal. Jihad is personal, you know, and I totally understand. You know, as someone who says Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah himself, you know,
and I mean, and I'm new. It's new to me, so I shouldn't be, you know, being questioned to death when I'm still learning. Because they can go research just like I'm doing. Because I'm researching every day. And
Islam is such a scholarly religion.
It's you cannot be a person that doesn't like to read.
Yeah, nah.
It's not gonna work. And I mean, by trade and just by nature, I am a researcher. I am a scientist. Nice. So yeah. So I found, you know, I mean, I'm waking up, you know, I'm like, wow, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to pray like that.
Yeah. But, you know, as you know, it really sets the tone for the day.
It does. And I mean, even when those, you know, when those prayer times come, they're always right on time. And that's why I hate to miss prayer because it really does. It does even me out. It really does. So, yeah.
Right. All right. Listen, I want to thank you again for your time. You know, but before we go, I want you to let the people know where they can find you, and you know, give us the skinny on that.
So on social media, everywhere.
Okay.
staHHr on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm out there. I do have a website, staHHrmusic.com, staHHrmusic.com. And there are links there to like my scribe tees, which is just, you know, different like, you know, logo t-shirts and things that I have. And that's it. And that's where I am. I'm pretty active on social media when I want to be. And then when I get sick of it, I deactivate my page frequently. So that's just something that I do. I prefer Twitter.
Okay.
Anywhere else. So that there, if you want to find me, I'm over there having fun. So if you get offended easily, you know, that might not be the place for you. I'm not going to talk about rap all the time.
Right.
So I'm going to just, you know, have fun and keep it lighthearted.
All right. Yeah. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you kindly.
Oh, thank you.